Oh, it even flashes.
Oh.
It even flashes. Hold
How
on.
great. How great. How great.
Oh, man, I got my recorder on the other screen.
How weird is this? That, like, we don't have to get up anymore.
Yeah, people
And we don't
probably.
have to-
I wonder if people are like, why is Chris always getting up?
So they've asked that, and then people are like, "Why?" They're literally people are like, "Why do you take breaks in your podcast when they're only 3 seconds?" I'm like, "The break's not 3 seconds, asshole. The production is only 3 seconds.
Yeah.
The break lasts longer because we have to reset cameras." And then
Yeah.
people are like, "Why do you have to reset cameras?" I was like, "Do you know anything about DSLR or DLSR cameras?" No. If you have a DSLR camera, they have a 30-minute recording window. Does anybody know why they do? Oh, it's because they overheat. That's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it's a heating protection. So every DSLR camera only goes to a 30-minute limit.
I do get a little steamy myself when
That's
I
why they're
watch
not
a lot of
camcorders.
videos.
You know what's weird too is that they actually record some of the best video. Like there's nice handheld recorders that are not as good as
It's because
those
those
cameras.
lenses, man.
The lenses are fucking dope.
It's
That's why I
like-
got a Canon. Canon's
It's a
known for the
photo
lenses.
camera that does video.
It's good stuff. I'll put it that way. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird not having an interview this week. I feel like we just had it was like one after another, just kept going.
I could interview you.
You know what's weird? I'd rather you not. So what's strange though is that I could have placed an interview. So I could have placed an interview for the next 9 weeks, and I decided to interlace a few breaks in there and do other
Sure,
things because there is a point where it becomes too monotonous. For example, there's some people within the cigar industry, and obviously people are taking advantage of technology. We talked about it last week on our episode with Danny. Like people are taking advantage of technology, but there's a point to where you wear things out.
Yeah.
So do you remember when like the Instagram lives were just this fucking huge popping
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
Everyone's doing Instagram live.
Yeah.
This is what, and I will say this, and we're doing something really cool next week, by the way, which I wanted to announce here, but I was waiting for a phone call today that I've not yet received. So I'm not going to announce it today.
Secrets.
I'll make sure that I announce it soon, though. And it will be announced by multiple people. Anyway, so I was thinking about somebody in particular who just killed it in Instagram Live when it like first became really popular. And that was the girls from the TLE podcast.
Yeah.
They just lined up all these really good live interviews, live conversations, and they did they did like 30 of them.
Tender love and ecstasy. That's what it stands for.
That's what it is. What I appreciate about what they did is they knew when to bail on it.
Yeah.
They knew when it got tired, and they're like, this is getting tired, we're out.
The thing is I love steak.
Yeah.
You love steak.
Yeah.
You're going to eat steak every day for the next month?
No.
No.
That's why they're so smart because, like, Erica is marketing by trade. This is what I appreciate about her. So she's really good at capturing people's attention with things. And what I appreciate about the whole live thing, and I haven't talked to her about this yet, but I definitely want to have the conversation with her, is like they rolled and rolled and rolled and they trucked along, and then everybody else kind of followed, and they knew when to be the pioneers of bailing as much as they knew when to be the pioneers of starting.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah. I admire that because we did a couple. We did a couple collectively, and I'll put it this way. It's like they're fun to do, and I really enjoy doing them. But and some other people, there's actually quite a bit of people who ask like, why don't you do more Instagram lives? You should do an Instagram live for this. You should do an Instagram live for this. And what I always try to tell people is like, I don't, unfortunately,
I'd get fired.
Collectively, we don't have the luxury of time to coordinate such an effort to do what we do on the podcast, to do the website work, to do the reviews, and then also carry full-time jobs that, when I say full-time jobs, I don't mean 40 hours a week. I mean full,
like 60 to 80.
Full-time jobs. Like you're parceling out minutes in the day to like eat and do all these other things. So the dynamic is just different. So you just, to be able to coordinate all that is a challenging thing to do. So that's why we didn't do a lot of them. And I'm glad we didn't because I like creating an area of focus and attention to the things that we do well, which are the podcasts, to both obviously what we put out in audio
our
and what we put out in video.
personalities, our looks.
Right. It takes work.
You know?
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though you look like a little dumper, but yeah. It takes work.
Corey changed before the show. He's like, I gotta change.
It takes work for you to look that shitty.
I know.
We look
the same.
We look the fucking. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Hey, you changed
and
after
I
me.
even changed into this, but I never looked at you.
No, you didn't.
Know, so I was on my phone. I was like, I'm gonna go change. I didn't even look at you one time. You just no idea what you looked like.
You kind of looked up at my ankles. And you're like, oh, I'm not even looking at you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
people.
those fucking hideous orthopedic socks you have on. What are those? Are those copper laced socks?
They pretty much are. They're called Saucony's.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing.
Jesus Christ.
Back to the subject at hand. I would agree with you, Corey. The thing is like Instagram Live is like a wave. And us influencers, and I'll say influencers.
Right.
Us influencers are like surfers. But when you have too many surfers on the wave, it's a little hard to catch that perfect wave, right?
Yeah.
Well, too many people, you can't surf. You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I also don't like the redundancy of it. It's honestly one of the reasons, and like one of the people that I've always wanted to talk to in the industry and really have a meaningful conversation with was Matt Booth.
Yeah.
But there was a period of time where everybody was interviewing Matt Booth, and I was like, I'm not going to be that person. So I literally let it settle for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, now it makes sense for us to approach this. Actually, it was even longer than that. Because he went on a blitz, and which is awesome. I mean, you're promoting your organization. You're a fun conversationalist. I like the guy a lot.
A lot, yeah.
But I didn't want to just be another #MeToo.
Yeah.
And the whole podcast world, the whole cigar media world, it just didn't make sense for us to do that. It's like I'm always one of those people who's like gonna buck the current trend and divert and do something different.
Yeah.
And we did that with the Instagram Live too. It's like I did a couple. I had a lot of fun doing them. They were awesome. We got a lot of people who joined in and had fun and all that. When it made sense, it made sense. But when it didn't, I didn't keep trying to introduce that as a part of media that made sense for us.
Yeah, Matt Booth is like a steak. And you all overcooked him. And we're like, you know what?
Yeah.
The steak's been cooked, but we got to let it rest.
Yeah.
We got to let it rest before we eat it.
Yeah, but you can't uncook a steak.
No, that's true. Hey, listen, I'm coming up with these analogies on the fly.
Yeah. A hit or miss for sure. Hit or miss.
Don't worry about the semantics.
Right. So,
Matt Booth is a steak.
So I want to say this. So just to reverse back to the initial part of the conversation, is we got a lot of interviews lined up, but didn't want to do a ton of interviews. So we're interlacing some stuff in, but we do have a lot of. I mean, like the next 6 weeks for us is fucking dynamite, and honestly, even like 2 or 3 weeks after that are going to be dynamite. So just keep watching, keep listening. It's going to be really good content. I will say this. Have some more posted reviews out there so you can catch those on our website, catch them on YouTube, the whole works.
I'll go and say it right now. I'm reviewing this week a cigar that none of us have put on the site or in any type of review on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Like no one has ever done it?
Well, people have done it.
Oh, okay. You're
but
saying
we've never done it.
You mean a brand?
A brand, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It should be exciting because it just goes to show that sometimes you can find the little pockets and corners in the industry.
But also, so the great thing is like we've built a place in the fact that like we do mostly boutique brands.
We do.
We'll interlace bigger brand stuff, but if we do, it's usually like, I don't want to say limited edition, but it's the thing that's like really hyped and it's the thing that's really popping at the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to make an assumption that is neither of those two things.
That's true.
So people are going to hate us.
Nah,
people are going to go, what in the fuck are the hot ticket guys doing?
We'll just start off small on a site review.
Sure.
You know, and if
yeah, that's fair.
If it makes sense to do another one, which I did have another one by this brand today, I will say not as great.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I already know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, like I had a new one that came out to like this month from this brand. And it was just like,
Speaking of brands.
Yeah.
We are doing, this is going to be our second edition of Overrated, Underrated, which by the
That's
way,
right.
which by the way, was the most popular, most downloaded and listened to episode we've ever created was Overrated, Underrated.
Why this one,
Because
people?
people want to know when we bash companies.
Oh.
People want... I don't think it's so much the underrated as it is the overrated.
Yeah, that's
that people
true.
are very intentionally interested in because people like to be haters.
Yeah.
And we're not haters. I think we were very thoughtful and intentional as far as, well, no, we probably hated a little bit. And I'm a little bit more flexible now in my hard stances that I've created over a period of time.
Sure.
Just when you hear stories about organizations and where they come from, it's like Arturo Fuente. Let me use them as an example, and I hope they pop up on our randomizer.
No, man.
Arturo, before I get into too much, like Arturo Fuente is one of those companies for me that I have great admiration and respect for because of what they have done for the industry and being the juggernaut that they are and paving the way for like all these other opportunities for other people. I mean, like without them, I'm not sure a cigar industry in the U.S. would exist to the degree it does today. It would not be as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
there's other parts of their business that I absolutely think are atrocious. Product in general. Now, hopefully they don't pull up on the randomizer because I've already literally stated everything I could state about them.
You're right. But I think it comes down to seeing through the bullshit of a brand.
Yeah.
And really paying attention, at least in this overrated, underrated, things like marketing tactics.
Yeah, there's
pricing.
different aspects to it.
Yeah, and pricing.
Right.
And then douchery. We'll call out douchery.
Dude, douchery is a big... So we should, and we haven't, but this is only our second edition, so it's a work in progress. But maybe we should, for edition number 3, set some criteria for these are the things we grade these manufacturers on.
Right. Oh.
I think douchery is probably my favorite.
It's the wild card.
Douchery is the wild card.
But but people are tribalistic about cigars. Like the minute they find someone that they don't like, they will boycott that fucking brand.
And also the opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's this incredible attachment to a brand to a degree where I'm like, hey, there's other shit out there. And they're like, I only smoke this. And you're like, ugh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So there's that weird attachment too. There's like the opposite, the adverse of what you said. And there's a lot of what you said. There is very, very, I mean, there are times where like that kind of negativity just eats me alive.
It does.
Where I'm just like, I don't want to hear it.
And if you think we're negative, that's okay. Call us out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I'm just real.
There's not a lot of fucks that I give.
Are you real? Because you're sitting there, right?
Yeah, I'm real.
Yeah, I think we're all real.
I'm probably 84% real.
What's the other 26?
Not real.
Oh, wait. No, 16.
The other 26?
My math sucks.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, it's been a long week.
Weren't you in an advanced math class?
I was. 16.
Wow, that's embarrassing.
Sorry.
Yeah, that other 16% is a hodgepodge mess of bullshit. So let's get into it because these episodes tend to take quite a bit of time because we really get on a roll. So for the sake, let's get into the first one. Overrated, underrated. This is our first brand.
Pull up a seat. Sit down. Relax.
Yeah.
Grab a drink. It's going to be a fun little episode.
This is going to be a fun episode.
Okay. First, coming up on our list of overrated, underrated, we have Robania.
Oh, this is really interesting. Rochi.
A lot of history.
Ton of history. Cuban-based manufacturer.
Yeah.
Well, obviously has a Cuban line, right? So they have the Robania Cuban stuff, which I will say is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Some of my all-time favorites. I actually have a few in the humidor right now.
I wish there's a middle category. I mean, like they're just even keeled.
Well, there kind of is. Remember last time we said right for the industry?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did.
So we're not going to name the episode overrated and underrated and also right for the industry.
And like a little caption with asterisks.
So I would say from a Cuban perspective, some of the best I've ever had. I will say this. So they introduced that Claro, they introduced the Habano, and they introduced the Maduro White, brown label, blue label into the U.S. marketplace not that long ago. Here's what I will say.
That blue label
One of the things that I really, really was disappointed by with the cigars they introduced into the U.S. And I admired what they did in terms of just keeping things simple. They were way overpriced. And by overpriced, I mean they were trying to sell each one of these cigars not having much of a U.S. market presence for like 20 bucks a piece.
20, that's right. Yeah.
They were insanely expensive. They ended up dropping the price more along the lines of that $10 to $12 price range.
$12
especially for that Habano, that brown label one, which was like and that was like the Trojan horse in my opinion. That was absolutely the best one. Although I really admire the Claro. So the Claro to me was definitely, and that was the white label one, was definitely one of the better of the cigars. So something that has a different wrapper type, but same combination of binder and filler. They were coming onto the marketplace unknown in terms of the Nicaraguan product, and they were trying to charge an insane premium for them at the time. And I was like, hard to get market traction when that's going to be your stance in the marketplace.
You outpriced yourself.
Not honestly dissimilar to what McAuliffe did in some of their lineups. Like there's things that McAuliffe brought out that are more on the lesser expensive side. Right, some of my favorites like the Sumatra, the Matafita, the Nicaraguan. Like I like those blends a lot. And then they were like, "Oh, here's this other one that we're going to charge $20 for," and no one had ever heard of them. Now, the difference is the Ribena lineup has the Cuban heritage, so I get the association. I just don't think it translated well. So at that particular point in time, given that price point, I'd be like way overrated. But I would say now that it's really kind of evened itself out, and really if you search hard enough, you can find these, what I would consider very good cigars for a much lesser price point, I would say is like right on point.
I feel like I've seen Ribena, especially the blue ones, on Cigar Auctioneer.
They are.
For like $8 a stick.
Even less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like you can, a 5-pack.
You can find all of them on there. So there are places you can find them much less expensive than we were before. So I appreciate the price drop, which obviously curtailed its way into the B&M market. There's a B&M that I go to all the time. It's one of the Casa locations, and it's in Schaumburg, Illinois. It's one of my favorite places to go to. I love their staff. Absolutely incredible. They were one of the first ones where I saw these Ribenas at, and I saw they were selling the Habano, and they were selling for like $23. Now their stuff's a premium anyway because they're in Chicago. It's always more expensive.
Habano's good though.
But I was like, man, I just cannot convince myself to smoke this cigar for that price point, knowing nothing about the organization really. I was very challenged by that. It was like 4 months later, I came back, it was like $12.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much they dropped the price. So I appreciate them doing that. What's weird about Ribena now, in my opinion, is that there's someone I know that works for marketing or did work for marketing that I don't know what that relationship looks like now.
Yeah. Well,
and another person that migrated over from another organization that became part of their sales staff that is no longer there. So I don't know what their position is in the marketplace currently.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I have an idea.
There's like a big question mark around their effort.
If you are selling a $20 stick that may not have the market exposure, U.S. market exposure, people are going to shy away from these 12 and up sticks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But here's an idea for you. There's no reason why on your box you can't install a little red button. And when you press that little red button, there's a little voice box underneath the lid. And it goes over the history of your brand and your mission statement.
Like a really old museum.
Yeah. Like a museum exhibit. And it tells you the history, your mission, and what you hope to achieve by entering this market. Yeah. I guarantee you, if they're going to stand at that box and press that little red button and hear about your brand and why you should buy that cigar for $20, you got a much better shot, my friend.
You lost me at touching a little red button on a box.
Sounds like vagina.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. So, so what's your stance now, though, knowing that it's at $12?
I would say
for most cigars.
I would say this, not even for the price of the cigars, but the uncertainty around the brand. Now seeing a couple people who were hired on to that brand to create additional exposure for them, I would say within the last year, and that being very far up in the air now and super inconsistent and not knowing what they're going to do going forward, I'm going to say they're an overrated brand, even given that initial price point. I'm saying overrated because of the uncertainty.
That's fair. I have a really neutral stance on this one.
It's not that I don't like the cigars, but they haven't
Yeah.
really come out with anything new. They're not doing anything. So marketing was one of the things that we
Yeah.
talked about. How are you branding? How are you marketing?
Yeah.
And since I know the person who was responsible for their marketing and there's nothing that's happening to it now, it's like you're not even presenting your product on the marketplace. There hasn't been an effort for, I would say, back to the beginning of this year to really try to create good exposure for the brand in the marketplace. I'm definitely saying overrated, especially given that initial price point. I think they hurt themselves with that, honestly, out of the gate.
Probably. I think they've recalibrated, but they're probably still a little slightly overrated.
Yeah.
I think they're finding their, if they are still actively pursuing the creation of new blends, new cigars,
Right.
on top of the 3 that I'm aware of.
I don't think they are.
Man,
I think it's going to fizzle out.
that'd
I
be
do. That's just
unfortunate.
my anticipation, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'll say slightly overrated.
Okay, so we'll say
Slightly.
we agree that they're overrated. On to the next one. Here we go.
Overrated, underrated. Next brand, Fratello.
Oh, this is an interesting one. I like the ones that I'm not so definitive on.
Don't they make like 100?
Or for like 100 different variations. They make a lot.
They make a lot.
Fratello has quite a few cigars. They make some really obnoxious stuff too. Did you see
Black
that?
label, blue label, red label.
Did you see the Texan that I smoked when we did the Burn Down podcast? I was smoking the Texan.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Like that super gimmicky, large.
That Fratello Black,
everything's
though.
bigger in Texas. So you have the Nuveta and then you have the Inverso.
The Inverso. That's
I swear to holy Christmas.
an Inverso.
Those are 2 of my favorite cigars. I absolutely love those 2 cigars. Now I had so I've had the Oro before, which I really enjoyed. There's not a cigar in their lineup I don't like, actually. I really like Fratello.
I think the sizes are unique too.
I do like the sizes. I actually admire the branding of them too because it's simple but it's
That
identifiable.
angular brand.
And I like
band
the
on 'em.
backstory of the owner. By the way, this dude is a massive human being. He looks like Andre the Giant, but better looking. He is fucking huge as shit. Everything has to do, it's all space related. It's all astronomical. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Astronomy. Yeah. So like the Inverso, that's like something interrelated to space. Don't quote me on that. I'm drinking, so fuck off. But I really like the kind of how the branding of the story and why the name is the name. But I really actually enjoy the cigars
I do too.
that they come out with. It's weird because from a marketing perspective, it's not like they blow up your social media, but everybody knows about them. Everybody knows about Fratello.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I used to put them on crackers, like Fratello,
Yeah.
like little biscuits and cookies.
Right.
Like if you just want that little bit of extra sweetness.
You're such a cunt.
Oh, that's Nutella.
Nutella. So what's your opinion on the brand overall?
Oh, you know what? I find them to be, so I'm trying not to be as binary as overrated, underrated. So I'm going to give a little variance here,
Of course you are,
but I think they're slightly underrated.
gypsy.
I think they're slightly underrated.
It's weird. I never go looking for a Fratello cigar, but when I have one, I always enjoy it.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
Yeah.
It's like if I see one in a humidor, I'm like, skip. But if someone gives me one or I get one as far as like a cigar of the month, which I have numerous amounts of times,
Yeah.
I really fucking like them.
Yeah.
Like they're great. So I've never had a bad experience with a Fratello. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go underrated.
Yeah.
I think they're underrated. And it's weird because, again, everybody knows who they are, but I feel like they just don't get that fanfare attention. I feel like if a new release comes out, people aren't super hyped about it.
Yeah, it's like
They don't fit in the boutique category necessarily as far as like that little clique, that little group, but they don't fit into the mainstream piece of it, so they don't fit in that little clique either.
Yeah.
They're just kind of in their own space.
I think you might
They're in their own universe.
You might be like the up and coming like Kanye West, right? Like you just need like a hit single. Like a super hit
maybe,
single.
but that's kind of the Inverso to me, man.
I know, the
that cigar
Inverso's really
is
good.
Like I have probably 5 or 6 Fratello cigars in my that
Yeah.
are just randomly. I love
Yeah.
them and I enjoy them. And you know what? I'll save them too. Like that Inverso, I like with a little bit of age on it. That cigar is absolutely fucking killer. Their prices are just a slightly bit inflated, but not. They're not. I mean, but it's good
But
shit.
you
So
always get like a 7-incher, man.
it's hard. It's hard for me to not enjoy them.
Yeah. I feel you on that. So underrated.
I'm gonna say underrated.
Underrated. You heard it. We said it. Frutella.
It's actually a big congratulations to Frutella for just doing
Yeah.
some just baller ass shit with that big ass
Yeah.
guy who runs it.
Smoke it. Put it on a cracker. It's delicious either way.
God, imagine that guy flying around the country. Jesus Christ.
Next brand up
motherfucker.
is AJ Fernandez. What a bloated answer this one's gonna be.
Yeah, this is gonna be strange to me. Only because I feel like there's so much to talk about. So this
Yeah.
one's gonna be hard for me because I'm not sure. Fuck.
This is a loaded answer, man.
It
Do we
is.
want to break it down based on maybe the sub labels
No,
or just straight up
no.
high level?
I'll give my opinion on the stuff that they do contracting work for. I've always said this, and I'm going to stay relatively true to my initial statements in saying that
Yeah.
their contracted brands, the stuff they contract for, is better than typically what AJ Fernandez brings out under their own brand.
And they do a lot of sub brands.
I do like some of the stuff that they've come out with. I've smoked a lot of it here recently. Just like our local lounge carries a lot of AJ Fernandez, so I'll just kind of rifle through stuff that they bring out. But for the longest time, I was never really a fan of stuff that they brought under their own brand, or even like the San Latano brand. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. And I know AJ Fernandez gets a ton of kudos and massive fucking organization.
Yep.
Massive brand, produces for everybody, produces some really, really good stuff for other people. I mean, some of the best shit I've ever had is for other brands. And maybe that's what they're saving the secret sauce for. Maybe like we care about our contract brands. We don't give a shit about our own brand. We're just going to kind of make some shit up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't suspect that's the case, but I also don't know the backstory. AJ Fernandez is a weird one for me because I feel like we could spend 20 minutes talking about him, but ain't nobody got that time.
I have some initial thoughts. Again, not as binary as I would want this to be. But I think the brands themselves that AJ has either created or generally support are overrated. But the one thing I will say about AJ Fernandez as a manufacturer,
As a man,
as a farm and as a manufacturer, I think they're slightly underrated because there's blends that I've seen come out of those factories
all that are so
that are fucking unreal.
yeah, intensely good.
But
Agreed.
they are overshadowed sometimes by the monotony and oversaturation of AJ blended cigars.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like so many people contract with AJ Fernandez at one time. Now I think Aganorsa has probably taken first place on like over manufacturing sub brands.
That's true.
Where it's like AJ Fernandez, hey, pressure's off. It's weird. At one time, I was kind of adamantly against smoking AJ Fernandez cigars under their own brand and their own manufacturing. But I've opened myself up to it more, and I really like that San Latano Dominicano that we had. I thought that was a really good cigar. I think it was a good...
Not the oval.
I think it was a great, the oval, the
The
bolt,
oval,
like under the San Latano line that I really like. So they make some good stuff. I mean, for sure make some good stuff. It makes some really incredible stuff for other people. I think at this particular point in time, they're right where they need to be. I wouldn't go as far as to say that if you asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have definitely said overrated.
Yeah.
But I think I've come to appreciate not only who they are as a manufacturer, knowing more of the story, but I've come to appreciate them more for the fact that like I know what they're capable of blending. I know what they're capable of producing, and knowing that, I'm like, you got some good shit under the hood.
That is really truly where my delineation is.
They're kind of like a sleeper car. Like on the outside, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
They're a 2004 Honda Odyssey, but no one knows that there's an LS1 twin turbo underneath the hood of this soccer mom van.
Yeah.
They've got some good shit for sure.
They do. They're truly capable of some really good stuff.
They're legitimately one that I'm really excited to see about, like brand, like under their own brand expand, like continued expansion, because they literally own that whole process. It's like the sky's the limit. They can do literally whatever they want, and just seeing some of the releases that have come out in the recent year that I've been more excited about than other stuff. I think the future is like super bright for AJ
I think they're really good as a manufacturer. I don't think they're so great at having their own brand.
Yeah, they're getting better.
Yeah.
They're getting better. But I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird. It's like people know them, but they don't have this like unique attachment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the industry as a whole. It's like everybody knows AJ Fernandez.
Maybe
but they're like a little remiss when it comes to certain things.
Maybe that's what takes some of the intimacy away of being attached to a brand.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's like this brand makes this cigar or these handful of cigars and you love them. But then you attach yourself to a brand that's like, you slut.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
You know?
Yeah. I agree with
and
you.
Not to say it's not good business. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I had a farm, and a manufacturer, like a manufacturing process to produce cigars for brands.
There's like what we want and then what makes sense for them. Right. And those two things don't always
Don't
correlate.
Get me wrong, like you're making great ass fucking money producing sticks, and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But if it was me,
I'd
be at a certain point, I'd be kind of choosy.
Yeah.
To really make sure that if I'm putting my brand on someone else's brand,
it better be dope.
It better be like...
Yeah, Aganorsa, figure it out. Yeah. Who have we gone through so far? We got to keep track of these.
Oh, we had Robanya.
Yeah. Fratello.
and AJ Fernandez.
Okay, awesome. On to the next. Let's roll. I get so nervous. I don't know why I get nervous when they pop up.
Patina.
Oh my God. I'm so glad that, you know what? Perfect timing, by the way.
No shit.
Spoiler alert, our interview for next week. Dude, there cannot be a more underrated fucking brand in the industry.
I agree.
-1. There's only one other I'm thinking of, and we got that as an interview in 3 weeks.
Maybe I enjoy seeing the process of a slightly fragile, slightly new.
Are you calling Mo fragile?
Yeah,
he's a beefy boy.
No, I just mean like there's a certain amount of gusto and determination and tenacity that comes along with making your own company.
Yeah,
and in this case, a cigar.
Yeah.
And to see that grind, to see the progression of that, it's like I love rooting for the person that is like doing it from the ground up.
Yeah, I really don't know if there's a more underrated brand. So you've got the Connecticut, the Habano, and now the Maduro.
Woo.
So, and some things have changed in terms of where these are being produced. I got the whole backstory. I don't know if it's like completely out there, so I'm not going to say anything. I got the backstory weirdly enough a long time ago. Mo and I sat down.
Chicago.
Mo is the owner. We sat down in Chicago and had a long conversation about some stuff, and we've had him on the show before, obviously. So we're gonna have him on again soon. We're actually doing a whole nother thing with him probably next week. So there's all kinds of shit. Mo's like, he's got his fingers in everything, which sounds gross. Just insanely underrated. If you've never had the Patina Habano, you're just fucking missing out. Period.
Yeah.
You're missing out. If you've never sat down with the Patina Connecticut with a cup of coffee at 8:30 in the morning, you're absolutely fucking missing out.
But that Habano's delicious.
That Habano is one of my favorite cigars. I don't mean in the moment. I mean, I only have a couple left and I won't smoke them because I usually went and bought them in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I would go to Chicago to buy them because Mo used to work at the shop that I go to. That's where we were hanging out. And they have patina like up front and center. So every time I walk in, I just grab a few. That's like my first thing I do. I walk in straight through the door, grab a few, turn to the left, and then just make my way around. I haven't been back to Chicago, obviously, in quite some time. So I haven't purchased any online. I'm actually trying to rifle through some of my inventory right now and smoke some stuff. But just insanely fucking underrated. Cannot be any more underrated. Not only do you have one of the best human beings I know in the industry, by far, one of my favorite people to talk to, but produces literally that fucking Habano's outrageously good. And weirdly enough, from what Mo's told me, if I remember correctly, that the Connecticut actually outsells the Maduro or
Really?
the Habano.
Habano?
Yeah. That people actually like the Connecticut more just from a sales perspective. Which you go, you're crazy, because I think the Habano is one of the best cigars I've had, especially for the money. And I go, how is I don't understand. But I also am not part and partial to Connecticut's.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just
either.
not a fan of Connecticut cigars. I've tried. There's some that I like, but for the most part, I don't. I'm really intrigued by the Maduro. I haven't had it yet. It just released. I mean, it just came on the marketplace like less than a month ago. Horrible timing in terms of COVID, but I'm seriously so glad that he's put it out there, because it's received a ton of attention, and deservingly so, because there isn't a thing that he could produce under his brand that I know I wouldn't be stoked about.
Yeah, if you're a brick and mortar shop and you're listening to this show, we say underrated for a very good reason. This is a brand that needs the love and attention of your shop.
It really does.
It's difficult to find these patinas around the country.
Yeah.
And the reason is because this is a grinding,
It's a
hard
grind.
working.
Yeah. This is just Mo fucking out there doing it.
And I couldn't say nicer things about him and the cigar. So this is an opportunity, shameless plug.
Yeah.
If you're interested, if you're a brick and mortar, consider the patina once he has these new Maduros come out and he's got the stock and inventory to supply you with some boxes.
Yeah.
Get them into the stores, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think the price point is great on them, and they're really fucking good cigars. And he,
I would say this, like, for those who know, and they know how good they are. For those who have just seen pictures on Instagram, the reason you see them and reason you see the people attached to them is because they're so goddamn good. If you've been on the fence about, or you've just heard of them say, I don't know, I've never really had it, where can I get it? At this particular point in time, if your B&M doesn't have it, this is a suggestion that you make. Go to your B&M and say, put these on the shelves. Keep reminding them every time you go in, if they're not on the shelves, that they need to have them. Otherwise, you buy them online. Either way, get your fucking hands on them if you haven't had them. I'm not kidding you. That fucking patina Habano is one of my favorite cigars.
Yeah.
Like, I took some on vacation with me. Like, you know how I am. Like, there's certain times where I smoke a cigar for a certain occasion, for a certain scenario. Now, these aren't expensive, so I wouldn't put these in terms of, like, I'm not saying this is a special occasion cigar, but because I like them so much, I had this idea. I had this weird thing in my head where I said, okay, here's what I want to do. And I actually have a picture of it. I said, I want to go to a cafe. I want to go to a coffee shop in Copenhagen. My wife and I went and did in the morning. Went to this really awesome place.
Yeah.
And they had a little patio outside, and there's not a lot of cigar smoking in Copenhagen.
Can I close my eyes? I really want to experience this.
Yeah, you should. So it's a bright, sunny day.
Uh-huh.
The weather is fair. It's probably 70 degrees.
Oh, it's kind of chill.
So I have a light jacket on.
That's nice.
The air's breezing through this like really thin alleyway, brick roads.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a cafe on the side of this brick road street. People on their bicycles rolling by.
Oh, hey.
I'm sitting just at a nice iron table, a set of iron chairs, and I've got a croissant in front of me, and I've got an espresso, handmade, delicious cafe espresso, and I'm smoking my patina. This Habano, watching people just walk by. I mean, we're in Scandinavia, people. Everybody's fucking happy. Everybody's enjoying their time. There's smiles on faces. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day. My wife and I are chilling, eating our pastries.
Look at the ducks.
Drinking our coffee. There's no ducks. There's
ducks
no water.
here?
There's no water.
Oh.
Actually, there's water not too far away. Actually, there's water really close.
I'm pretty sure it's a duck. Maybe it's
I don't
something
think
else.
they have ducks there.
Maybe it's a different bird. I don't know.
They have some really gross
Maybe
fish.
a really large pigeon.
They have some really disgusting fish. Food's not great there. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take that patina Habano with me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to smoke at cafe side. Like, that's the experience I wanted. And I made sure that was a cigar that I brought, and that's the one I smoked for that particular occasion. Successfully, fucking outrageously wonderful experience. Experientially, it was like, that's exactly what I desired in that moment. I have never been more zen than I think I've been in my entire life. Sitting right there, smoking that cigar, eating my croissant, drinking my coffee. It was just like, that was it for me. That was glorious. Beautiful.
I feel like
So fucking underrated.
I feel like you took me there.
Dude, it was awesome. I could actually see it in my head. I can play the whole thing back. And I also have pictures of it too, which probably helps.
That made me feel good.
Yeah. I
underrated.
I have no other words to say. Completely underrated. Yeah. If you haven't had it, fucking get it. Stop being a cunt.
Moving on. Next on underrated, overrated, or overrated, underrated.
Doesn't matter.
Ashton.
Oh, this is interesting.
Interesting, yes.
I will put it this way. I'll be very, very candid with everybody. I've not had an Ashton cigar in a while. I almost picked one up like 2 days ago, and I actually was like, almost put my dirty little COVID hands on it, and I was like,
I don't feel like they're overly schemy with their marketing.
No,
I
they're
think
not.
they have fairly priced cigars. There's some expensive Ashtons. Don't get me wrong. I've had a couple.
Every expensive Ashton.
But they do have some good value ones, though.
Here's my thing about Ashton overall. I think the cigars are awesome. I love the Ashton VSG. What turned me on to Ashton, what really made me kind of to like the brand, and this was earlier on in my smoking endeavors, was the Ashton Symmetry.
That is a good one.
I thought the Symmetry.
You smoked that a lot.
I smoked it a ton.
Didn't we review it? Way early on.
I think we did way early, way early on.
Big Six Tobacco days.
Yeah,
reviewed.
like way early on. Like way before we did anything hot ticket. I really like the Ashton Symmetry. I just feel like, and I'm not going to say it's any bash on them. Like there's no new Ashton stuff that's come out. So there's nothing new to the market. They don't seem like they do anything in the marketplace. It's like what they have on the shelves is what they have on the shelves. Either take it or leave it type thing. But what they do make is great. But I would argue that a lot of stuff that they make is, especially given all the other stuff in the market, seems to be overpriced. I think at one time, maybe closer to appropriate because selection was few and far between in terms of like getting really good high-end stuff. But there's just so much on the market now. I just don't think here's a good way of putting it. They're just not with the times. That's true. It. They're just not with the times. I love the cigars for the most part. They're just not with the times. They have not matured in a way that I would like to see the brand mature overall. They've got a great name in the industry and always have, and probably
maybe
always
missing
will.
the boat on the new generation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Just not with the times. So I'm gonna say overrated just because of that.
I'll say slightly overrated too. I will say this: Ashton is like what a rich family names their first son.
Yeah, very much so, and that's the price of their cigars.
And that's kind of like the brand.
It's
kind of like the brand.
It is kind of like the brand. Yeah, it is. It is true. It is true.
There are some very good cigars, but I would probably agree.
You just don't hear about them much either.
No, I
never hear anybody anymore get tickled to death about smoking an Ashton. They're just like, yeah, I had an Ashton, it was really good, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
and you're just kind of like, all right.
Maybe we need to see something new, something like McDonald's did. You know, we talked about this in the last episode. Maybe they just need to come out with like the teen cigar. You know, like something like relatively well priced, maybe $8. It's an Ashton, but it's like super trendy.
Yeah, no, I don't think they will. I don't have much faith in that approach, but I'm hoping that I'm surprised at some point. I really think they're content with doing what they're doing. What they're doing is probably fucking working for them. It's not dissimilar to what we were talking about with some of these other brands. With like we mentioned Arturo Fuente in the beginning. You talk about AJ Fernandez. It's like it's hard to dispute. If they're selling cigars, they're making their fucking money. So it's like, why change the recipe if you just bring it in that you're rolling that dough? Yeah, and you know, it's just an opinion of ours. Take it or leave it. Yeah, it is. But that's
our stance. That's just kind of how we feel. Being the younger youth, the youthful generation of cigar smokers, based on a pretty saturated,
like I feel like the
booming market of Ashton like single buyers.
I think like Ashton cigars are very much marketed towards old white dudes with money. Yeah. Period.
Like if I was like an old guy walking in the store and it's like, oh, Ashton. My son's name's Ashton.
That's funny.
I'll buy 10 boxes.
It's actually not a bad name.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. They're good cigars, but I kind of feel the overratedness.
Yeah, definitely challenged by the idea that there's just not been any changes for what they've done. It's just like there's no freshness. None.
Yeah.
Like literally none.
Yeah.
And I find that just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, maybe the staleness is
Very
what's
stale.
doing it.
Very stale.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Patina again.
Well, we can't randomize Patina twice. Although I could talk about Patina for the rest of the episode, but you're going to hear enough of it in like the coming weeks.
Tattoo.
Oh, man. There's some real dingers.
Listen, I'm going to say this before Corey goes into his long dissertation of where he feels Tatuaje is.
Hold on. How much time do you guys have?
Listen, I will speak for myself only in this regard. I think what the PDs is doing in Tatuaje is, for the most part, very good. There are a ton of great Tatuaje cigars. There are price points which I think are pretty competitive for the most part. From a marketing standpoint, there are some peculiarities. There are some oddness about some of the brands or sub-brands of Tatuaje, but for the most part, I find them to be quite good. There are some overrated branding tactics. I will speak mostly to the Monster lineup. But there's a place for it, I think. You know, no one really does like the Monster lineup. So there's a uniqueness factor there, I think. That said, I think they're mostly at the right level, but I know Corey's going to have some interesting opinion. He's going to go through a history, which I think you need to hear anyway. But I think he's going to have some interesting points to make about whether or not he thinks it's overrated.
Where do we begin? I'm not going to exaggerate to the point where it sounded like you made it. I was going to exaggerate. So I have a fun history with Tatuaje cigars.
You sure do.
I would say if we rewound, and if you've listened to the show long enough, you already know the story, so I'm not going to tire it out. Years ago, I couldn't stand Tatuajes because they had a severe amount of construction flaws. At least from what I got. And maybe I just got the bad one in every single batch, but it got to the point where I was like, at some point I got to hedge my bet and say, okay, if I'm now 5 out of 5 on terrible construction, so many burn issues, so many draw issues, why am I not considering the 6-1 to be the same? Like, I'm batting 1,000 on this being terrible. Why am I going to buy more? So I didn't. I just stopped buying Tatuaje. Boycotted Tatuaje for almost 2 years, probably.
Until you had that. Well, which one was it? Brown label?
Yeah, brown label.
Yep.
So it got to the point where somebody that we're friends with said, dude, you got to start smoking Tatuajes again. Trust me, smoke them, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, fine. And I did. And great experience, great cigar.
It's a $13 cigar.
Everything was magnificent. I was like, okay, cool. I like that cigar a lot. And I started trying more. And then did some of the sublines, the surrogates line, of course, the Atelier line.
We did the Monster series.
Did some of the Monsters. And I have some of the Monster series. I've got a couple brides in there. I got actually like 5 or 6 of the Monster series.
We can't
stuff.
forget the Mexican experience recently. Experiments.
What changed it for me in terms of like, the brand overall is already legitimate. The line is already legitimate.
For sure.
They've legitimized themselves. Pete Johnson has done amazing things in the industry. Started out at my father factory. Has done incredible things. Has earned the fucking place and earned the right in the industry by far. Like, the history is known. This is just me personally talking about this.
Yeah.
I had some early on subpar experience with Tatuaje, and I boycotted them. Not that anybody cares, or not that fucking Pete Johnson gives a shit. I don't expect him to at all. But
yeah,
here's what changed it for me. This is what ultimately changed it for me. The ME2.
I agree.
Completely fucking changed that line for me. If you followed what we did last year as far as our top 10 in 2019, the Tatuaje in the 3 categories that we graded on, it made it in every single category.
It did.
That cigar to me was so dynamically different than any other cigar that I had in a very pleasant and fulfilling way. That was like, holy shit, like this thing is unfucking real.
We're still smoking them.
And then I go back and revisit other Tatuaje cigars. We bought the Havana 6, right?
Mm-hmm,
So we reviewed it not too long ago. That cigar, being at an amazing price point, is one of my absolute favorite cigars to smoke. So where I had some challenges in the beginning with the brand because of personal experiences, and one that I just simply like it, and it's not like it was like a single occurrence, and I was like, and I got all like grumper lumper about it. It was like every single one consecutively was terrible, and I'm like, I can't. I'm like betting against myself now. I'm spending $10 on a cigar knowing that 5 out of 5 times already it's been shit. Yeah. Why am I going to keep doing this? There's so many cigars on the market that I've been exposed to that I can smoke. Why keep fucking dealing with the same issues? You fast forward 3 or 4 years, Tatuaje is definitively one of my favorite brands. By far. I probably have more. The only other brands that I probably have more cigars of in
Roma,
my entire...
Crown Heads.
I'd say Crown Heads I have the most of. Roma Craft I have the second most of. I would say third probably Davidoff, but it would be a tie probably with Tatuaje.
Yeah.
For sure. So 100% one of my favorite brands of smoke. I think the changes and from cigar to cigar are very much represented in everything that's being blended. They're all super intentional. I do agree with Chris. Is like there's some weird wonky branding things, and the Monster series, although it's kind of gimmicky, is fun and highly anticipated. It's like Davidoff with their Year of the Whatever series, right?
Yeah.
Year of the Rat, Year of the Rooster, Year of the Dog. They're just kind of fun things that the brand could do. So I'm not bashing Tatuaje for that. I actually quite enjoy the fact that they do some of those things.
They're the only ones that are doing it.
Yeah, the Monster series is very unique. You know they're going to get them at Halloween time. You know they're going to be exclusive. It's going to be hard to get your hands on them for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun, and usually they're good. Sometimes it's a miss. It's kind of like...
I think half of them are good and half of them I don't
Yeah, there's some that are kind of shit, but then there's other ones that are really good. There's a brewery not too far away from where we live here in Dayton called Warped Wing, and they partner with Esther Price every year. Esther Price being like a chocolate manufacturer, one of the like premier ones in the United States, but they're based right here in Dayton. Actually, their like headquarters is right down the street from me. They do a collaboration with Esther Price every year, and it's hit or miss. It's either like the second year it came out was fucking awesome, and then they did this other thing, and it was garbage, and then awesome garbage, and so on and so forth. So some of them hit or miss. But I say Tatuaje overall, and get off my soapbox here, I think is appropriate for the marketplace.
I do too.
I think they're very appropriate for the marketplace.
I do too.
And one of my favorite brands that when something new does come out, I'm like, getting it.
Yeah.
Not even thinking twice.
Yeah, man. There's been some. What was the orange and white label tats that we had?
The
Nuevas or what the hell is it called?
Nueta?
There's 2 of them.
I'm trying not to
the orange and primarily orange.
I'm not trying to mix up the Fratello that we talked about.
Yeah, I know.
Already. Oh my god.
I forget, but those were good ones too. Those were
yeah,
but
those were good.
But the Mexican experiment too.
Woo! Yeah, the ME2 was, man, that was like, that cigar, I do too. Like, I love going into the lounge and seeing them, because they actually have like every Vitola of them.
Yeah.
And there's not a bad Vitola. I'll put it that way too.
No,
there is not a bad Vitola.
They taste the same, really.
They're just not a bad Vitola in that cigar. I love that box press, man. I love everything about that cigar. When I want something, literally every time I think to myself, I want something fucking funky today.
Yeah.
That's what I go and smoke. Hands down the ME2 every time. I'm like, I just want something that's just like totally different from anything else.
Yeah.
And that's the one I grab for.
Yeah. I feel you. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's a fairly.
Plus, I like Pete Johnson. I love listening to him talk. Chris and I watched the Hand Roll document last week, which I've seen like, I don't know, 5 times now probably. He's a tatted up guy. I'm a tatted up guy. I love that.
I got tats.
Chris got tats.
I got one in my mouth.
We got tits and tats. It's great.
Yeah.
I like, I tell you this about the cigar industry, in total tangent, I like the bad boy aspect of some of the cigar industry.
I do too.
Like John Huber, Matt Booth, even Jonathan Drew to an extent, Dion from Illusione, and then you've got Pete Johnson. Like you've got the
Willie
bad
Herrera.
You've got like these bad boys of the
Yeah.
cigar industry, and like that's kind of it's weird from a media perspective. That's where you and I and there's no one from a media aspect that is anything like you or I. There's the pretty boy guys who I like. Like you've got the burn down guys. They're like handsome ass New York dudes.
Yeah.
And you've got some other just kind of gristled old you got some gristled old dudes that have been doing it for fucking ever.
Yeah.
It's like I like being the long-haired, young, tatted dude.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I think it's a good look.
Yeah, I feel you.
I associate myself with the bad boys of the cigar industry.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tatuaje.
Yeah, I think it's
just right for the
I
industry.
think it's just right. One more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Let's
This
do
would be
one
good
more.
timing.
Oh, what are you going to throw at us now? Overrated, underrated? Hoyo de Nicaragua.
Oh, this is
What a weird one to close.
Can we not end on this one?
Yeah.
I like their cigars.
Yeah, I do too.
Eh.
We're going to skip this one.
No, I don't want to skip it. I like Hoya cigars. Under the Drew Estate brand now, officially. I think it's their factory that ended up burning down. Sad
picked them up.
And very tragic. I like their cigars.
I don't smoke them that frequently, though.
I don't either. But what I have smoked, I've really enjoyed. There's
Yeah.
actually, I've done a couple of reviews of their cigars that you can find on our website. But other than that, I don't know as much about the back history of Hoya, really.
Yeah.
Other than to say it's like, I really haven't had a bad cigar by them. Actually quite enjoy the stuff they come out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird and obscure, I'm going to say appropriate for the marketplace.
Yeah.
Because they have brought out some good stuff. I actually think I have to post it, but we have a Drew Estate press release hanging on currently, which is one of the Hoya cigars. I think it's their Connecticut. It's the blue label one that I think actually got a lot of recognition last year. It may have made somebody's actually multiple people's top 10, probably top 25s. I think I've only had it once, and again, not a fan of Connecticut, so definitely never going to score in my top because they're all pretty gross. Mine has like 3. I'm going to say appropriate just for what I know. Not being as overly exposed to the brand as I probably should be.
I don't notice any weirdness with marketing. I don't notice any.
Dude, I'll put it this way. So their marketing is all done Drew Estate.
Yeah.
Drew Estate, by the way, Drew Estate is the best marketing firm that ever made a cigar.
That's true.
They are absolutely, definitively the best marketing firm that ever decided to make a cigar.
Yeah. Which, if you're reading between the lines, sounds a bit backwards, but it's the truth.
I feel like you didn't have to explain that. I said it twice.
Hey, if you're a dummy like me and you need to like have it like literally
Spell it out for you.
Yeah.
People are like, what is he talking about? I don't understand what he's saying.
what he's saying is
Corey, could you make sense of what you said by that?
what he's saying.
Dude, if you have to ask the question, fuck off. Don't listen to this podcast. All right, next. Let's do one more. We can't end on Hoya.
Okay.
For Christ's sake.
Let's see what we got here.
I'm so nervous.
Warp. Oh shit. Okay.
Oh.
It was gonna come up soon enough, right?
Fuck. I mean, eventually, there's like 100 brands on there.
It's gonna come up eventually.
So not really.
Okay. Do you want to start or me start?
I don't care because I'm going to say what I'm going to say regardless.
All right. Listen. Some great cigars. Some better than what I would. Some that were priced lower than I expected them to be.
Yeah.
Some that were priced way too high from what I expected it to taste like and burn like. And
Right.
So there's a certain amount of like overrated, underrated just alone with the cigars themselves.
Yeah.
It's like the La Hacienda was like, whew, like
Yeah.
$7. What the fuck?
Fucking great. Cloud Hopper.
Cloud
Not
Hopper.
expensive. Incredible.
Yeah. And then you get the higher up echelon ones, and you're
La
like,
Camina. Huh?
yeah, just a little.
Why so expensive?
From a branding standpoint, I totally get what Kyle's doing. I totally get it. He's, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, he's selling a lifestyle more so than the cigars.
Yes.
Warped is not only cigars, but it's also coffee. It's also
Wine.
It's
Pipe tobacco.
pipe tobacco. So
It's kind of what Pete does for Tatuaje,
Yeah.
to a sense. In a sense.
I commend it from a business aspect. I'm sure it's doing very well. But part of me, deep down, no matter how much I like some of the cigars, is always going to find it to be just kind of an overrated brand. Even though I love what he's doing.
I would say if it's a larger vitola of anything warped, don't buy it.
if it's styled in a traditional like Cuban.
If it's like a 6x44, buy it all day long because it's probably really good. Now everything Kyle has done is at El Titan de Bronze or at Aganorsa.
yeah.
I agree with Chris in that I think the better cigars in their lineup are the ones that are least expensive, and the worst cigars in their lineup tend to be the ones that are more expensive. But there's not really anything terribly bad.
No.
I have my favorites, and the ones that I love smoking, I really fucking love smoking.
It's a toughie.
It's a weird one for me because I really do like the cigars.
I do too.
I've said it before. I kind of put it on blast, like my thoughts on Kyle specifically. I think he's truly a lover-hate kind of guy. Him and I have had plenty of exchanges back and forth. He'd actually committed to coming on the podcast and has not done it.
That's immediate overrated.
I'm gonna say
kidding.
honestly, I'm gonna essentially say overrated for the fact that you can't follow through on your commitments.
Shots fired across the bow.
But I did hear him. He did a live with TLE, and it was actually really good.
Listen, Kyle.
I like the guy a lot. Like randomly at times, I'll say something about one of his cigars, or like put something out there, and then he'll recant something that I said more than a year ago about putting him into the boards if we played hockey. And he told me, like, dude, I weigh like 145 pounds. I was like, cool, I'm only 10 pounds heavier than you. It's gonna be an even match.
It'll be a good show.
It's gonna be a fun fight between the two of us, and it's all done in jest. And he's, you know, for the exchanges that we've had, it's always been very pleasant and jovial and nice and the whole thing. He's also a guy that I think is kind of an outcast to in a sense, but also kind of a bad boy a little bit of the industry, or like he's got an allure about him, but he's also got this, I don't know. It's like the guy's got secrets or something. You know what I mean? Like he's got a checkered past. I don't know.
He does kind of seem like an outlier, and not in a bad way.
Yeah, definitely not in a bad way. Just kind of like, I'm gonna do my fucking thing and respect.
Like I imagine, like if you went to a large cigar event, you'd find the typical guys standing with each other.
Yeah, you wouldn't see him with
any of those groups.
No, it's kind of one of the reasons I like him.
I definitely admire him for sure.
Also, he's a dog fan.
A pity fan.
And anybody who loves dogs, hey, I'm in. I am a canine fanatic.
There's one way we can solve this overrated, Corey. Mm-hmm. And I think it's real simple. Kyle, if you're listening to this episode,
scissors.
Or if any of your fans who also listen to this show,
are we going to Rochambeau for
manage to reach out to you and say, hey, did you hear what the hot ticket guy said about your brand? They say it's overrated. Well, I'm here to tell you, Kyle, I think it's important to note that if you come on this show, we will for sure.
You can speak your mind.
Reconsider that notion.
I would say convince us. Otherwise.
Convince us that it's not overrated.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this whole thing, and I'm going to tag him in it.
Yeah.
And force the response.
Yeah. And then I want you guys, like with petitioning boards, go like, we want Kyle.
I am going to say undecided at this point.
Ooh, you know what?
No, we've never thrown out an undecided.
I've
Overrated,
already
underrated.
thrown out my answer, and I'll just say it. You've got me feeling like you're a little overrated. Change my mind.
I'm gonna go with undecided, and
That's fair.
Kyle can he can take the time to sway me one way or the other.
I love the cigars though.
I-
Overall,
I do too. I swear to God, the La Hacienda is like when I see that at a lounge. You know, how I was talking about like there's like Fratello's a brand that I'll skip over.
Yeah.
If I see the La Hacienda, whoop, I pick
Yeah,
one up.
it's
I
okay.
never even think twice about it.
I don't
I just
either.
go grab it.
I don't either.
It's so fucking. I think that cigar is so underrated.
That cigar.
I'm like,
is,
how do
yeah.
people not just have boxes on boxes of that fucking cigar? It's so incredible.
Yeah,
I think Warp's a good one to end on.
I think so too.
Yeah, Hoya, I would have been like, oh, that's disappointing. How anticlimactic for the folks listening. But I think Warp's definitely a good one to end with. I will say this. Our sponsor, My Cigar Pack, just shipped their, I think their May pack. And the June pack's coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought any of those packs, you get a nice little surprise from us from the
I
hot ticket in
see
those
it over
packs.
there.
Yeah, I do. I have 100. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not gonna call it on the podcast, but I'm going to.
Do they look good?
They look great. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the remaining 100. I'm gonna put something out on social media, and I'm gonna just put something on. It's like if you do this, I'll just send you I'll send you a sticker. We have hot ticket stickers. We have got 100 left. We'll have an additional series of stickers that I think people are really gonna fucking love. It'll be a series of stickers that are gonna be coming out hopefully shortly. Think of it like what's the bazooka bubblegum?
That
So you know,
always had like a
that was the little comics, right?
that you like. Yeah, it's like
It's
plastic
gonna be
paper.
like a series of stick and I don't usually like stickers sound so elementary and so it's like
You want a sticker?
it just seems you know what you know what I mean, like, oh, I just gave you a shot in your rear end, you want a sticker?
Yeah.
It sounds so boring and elementary, but really what we're doing is actually gonna be really cool. Like they're gonna be fucking collector's items, like
Yeah, I think so too.
that kind of fucking cool. Like Pokemon, gotta catch them all because it's gonna be a series and they're gonna be limited. So, but you can get the hot ticket stickers, which I don't have currently in my hand, but I've got 100 left, and I think I'm gonna put something out, just promotional material out online.
What about Jeff? Jeff can do it in post production. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, I will just like throw it on there. Yeah, so I'll be putting something out in terms of I'm not going to make it anything fucking crazy. They're just stickers. And I'm paying for them, by the way, or we're paying for them. I got to pay postage. We already paid for the stickers, but I'm just going to send them out because we only have 100 left. And maybe I'll make you do a little dance or something and send
Do a
it to
little
me.
shimmy for us.
And
we'll say-
show me your tits or
And
something.
we'll vote saying overrated, underrated.
Yeah. But I'll do something like that. But yeah, so if you got a My Cigar Pack subscription for the month of May and month of June, you're gonna see the hot ticket stickers in there as just a nice little gift from
They're
us.
looking pretty great.
Dude, they're actually dope as fuck.
Yeah.
They look really, really cool.
The
I
color,
like them a
the
lot.
color turned out. The trick is when you go with a new manufacturer for any of these types of things, you always wonder like, please be as good as the proof that I saw.
Yeah, better look like the proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Christmas present from my mom that is like old school pictures of our grandparents and great grandparents, and whatever the proof was not what was sent to me. The frame is dope. I'm gonna keep the frame. Probably gonna get rid of the picture, but the frame is gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
Not at all what it should be. So
Yeah. When you pay good money for this stuff, you want to make sure it's done right.
yeah, these stickers are real dope. So again, if you have the subscriptions, My Cigar Pack, and also make sure go to if you want some stickers, maybe we're gonna do more iterations, of course, which we'll send out in those packs. So you have the series of stickers for what we're doing coming up. Visit mycigarpack.com, promo code HOT10 at checkout for $10 off your first pack.
That's such a great deal, Corey.
It is a good deal. It actually was a really good deal. So I forgot to tell you. So Alex sent me like last month's packs.
Yeah.
I only have one cigar left.
Wow, they're that good?
I smoked. Sorry. I don't feel bad about it, really. I'm going to say sorry because I'm supposed to feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it.
How about this?
Yeah, there's some real bangers
Alex,
in there.
I know you want to send these packs to like your customers because they're paying for them. But if we get like an extra pack, so I go.
Oh, so
Because I saw a Crux in there and I was like, I want to smoke that Crux.
the Epic, it was awesome. The Epic, actually, no, I have a couple Crux left. I have one in there.
Oh, okay.
There's like 2 or 3 left.
But yeah, like 10. But the thing is his lineup's getting so much better and he's bringing out so much great ass fucking brands.
Wait till you see next month's. The list I've already looked at. I'm like, hot diggity damn. Like they're going to be dope. I'm really excited for what he's doing. So you can visit them. You can visit our website. I just posted a new review today, which is actually going to be old. It's going to be 3 days old by the time you hear this. And that is of the Series 84 Maduro from Rodriguez Cigars. So you can check that now. That's a YouTube exclusive, so check it out on YouTube. Search for Hot Ticket Weekly. You'll see it on there.
Yeah, it's one of them give me 1 hot minute reviews.
It's a give me 1 hot minute cigar review, so you can check that out. Go to our website, www.hotticketweekly.com. You can also see those reviews there as well, both in video form. You can check out our reviews in written form, and you can get all the podcast material and then updates in the industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good shit.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's conclude this. This is episode 152.
152.
That's crazy.
What other things are 152?
Sea turtles.
I think there are some sea turtles that can live that long for sure.
There definitely is sea turtles out there that I'm sure
they're over 100.
I'm sure there's a sea turtle floating about the seas of Hawaii right now that's 152 years old.
Oh, I'm sure.
Old as fuck. They're like parrots. They never die.
That's true. They live like 80 plus years.
Oh, Chris, you forgot our show sponsor for the day.
Jefferson's
Bourbon. It's not my favorite, but it'll get you drunk.
But it sounds like the neighbors you'd have in like suburbia.
Yeah.
Like if you were living in a suburban
I'm pretty
area,
sure there is a movie called The Jeffersons.
Yeah, it would be like, hey, that's like my neighbors. Yeah, that's the Jeffersons.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's conclude the episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Cheers, Chris, to a Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Appreciate you. Cheers, everybody who's watching. Cheers, everybody who's listening. We'll be back at you next week with